no Christian can point to any verse in the Bible where Jesus says, I am God.
Yeah. Yeah.
When we heard Islam, we heard a liberating message. 20 to 40% of our people who were brought here from West Africa were Muslim. The Western world is a product of the children of Israel. That's why till this day, who does our government serve? So when you look in the history of the world and you find these traditions where wealth in the world, things of the world are looked down upon, the ones who are keeping the people in check by way of those teachings, they lived well.
They live well, yeah.
They lived good.
Why is it necessary that Christians and Muslims, specifically black, need to put aside differences and come together?
Well,
Hey, wait. I know you want to watch this next video, but listen, if you are an entrepreneur, business coach, business consultant, or a small business owner who has a story and wants to learn how to create multiple streams of income from your story, I need you to text me right now, my book, to 646-687-4152. That is my personal number. I have been an author for over 12 years. I've written 10 books. 4 of them have been bestsellers, and I've sold over 100,000 books. But I've also helped a lot of my clients take their expertise and put it into a story, then create multiple streams of income from that. So I want to help you do the same thing. So text my book to 646-687-4152. All right, let's go back to the video. Welcome to another awesome episode of Inside the Vault with Ash Cash, the greatest money mindset show on the planet. Today, we have a true intellectual giant in the building, a man whose voice, scholarship, and leadership continues the transformational legacy of Imam W. Deen Muhammad. He is the founder and director of the Institute of Quran Study and Leadership and the host of the acclaimed podcast, The Quran in Society. He is a master of Quranic Arabic, tafsir, comparative religion, philosophy, and usul deen. I know I'm messing all that up, right? He is also a prolific author with the groundbreaking works such as The Message of Al-Islam, The Foundation of Al-Islam, On Prophets and Prophetic Types, and the Concept of Blackness in Al-Islam. Beyond the titles, this is a man committed to elevating human values, building global unity, and showing how Al-Islam can serve as a bridge, not a barrier, between communities, cultures, and even religions. We have the honor of co-authoring a book together called Islam for New Muslims, Everything You Need to Know After You Take Your Shahada, a guide for new Muslims, reverts, and anyone seeking clarity on faith, prayer, community, identity, and living Islam in the modern world. Today, we are diving into Islam, money, leadership, human development, and one of the most important conversations of our time, how Islam and Christianity can unite to uplift our people spiritually, socially, and economically. Ladies and gentlemen, round of applause for my brother, Imam Rashad. Why am I messing up your name? A round of applause for my brother, Imam Rashad Abdul.
oh man, how you doing, brother?
Yeah, doing well.
Thank you for having me.
So I'm gonna start with the most controversial first,
Sure.
right? Because for me, as somebody who was raised as a Christian, right? Yeah. So my mother was raised this as a Christian. Later on in life, even before I took my shahada, later on in life, I got introduced to Islam. I understood the religion, which to me is, I don't look at it as a religion. I look at it as a way of life. But as we fast forward now to where we are in 2025, there's just so much divisiveness when I look at Christianity, right? Christianity versus and it's not even versus, but just like there's like a stronghold, specifically in our community. There's like a stronghold on God, if you will. And so, even when I see, preachers online just kind of talking about the differences, if you will, between Islam and Christianity. Why is it necessary that Christians and Muslims, specifically Black, need to put aside differences and come together?
Well,
or is it necessary? Let me just say that.
Well, in my opinion, it is necessary.
Yeah.
It's necessary for a lot of reasons. I guess the most important reason would be one of the most, if not the most important reason, is we are the same people.
Yeah.
We're the same people. So let's say hypothetically you're a Christian and I'm a Muslim and we stay on the same block. We're going to be dealing with the same things on that same block. And those things that we deal with more often than not will be the same things that have to be dealt with by Muslims or Christians on the block next over, and the block next over, and the block next over. So in other words, our condition is the same.
Yeah.
We are one people. And that goes more than just the block we stay on. What I mean when I say we're one people, our history is our history, or we share a common history, meaning that we share a common set of influences, a common set of challenges that have served to make us one in terms of our psychology, our behavior, even our aspirations as a group. So, for example, I never met my biological father in real life. I met him like twice over the phone. That's just the Black man's story. You see what I'm saying? There's a lot of pathologies that characterize the African-American experience because of the lack of, now I did have a stepfather, but in general, because of the lack of fatherhood presence, there are certain skills, there's certain perceptions, there's certain insights that the African-American male does not have because of the fact that we weren't raised with fathers, and fatherhood presence is not a thing in our communities until this day. Now, that lack of fatherhood presence, we can trace that all the way back to a set of influences that have been put upon us from outside, from the time we were really before we were brought here, but let alone from the time we were brought here on the slave, on the shores of America by way of the slave ship, and put on the auction block. There were mechanisms put in place to break down our family, to break down the strength of the father, so that we wouldn't produce our own leadership. And that sort of cascade, or that cause and effect process, served to produce us as a group. It is important to understand that in the context of that history, and I'm really giving a gloss. I mean, Black history. That's even including the islands. That even goes down to Brazil, just like what was done to us to shape us in terms of our psychological profile. We behave and we think a certain way based upon our experiences. So it's in that context. I was in South Carolina last week. Charleston, South Carolina, where about 80% of the slaves that were brought to the United States of America came through Charleston. Wow. And also Charleston is ground zero for some of these major churches in our history that were behind rebellions, that were behind the production of certain freedom thinkers like the Nat Turners of the world, and the Denmark Vesey's. I can't remember the specific space, but they're from that region, or in the places where there were slaves, other parts. The point that I'm making is that when our people read the Bible originally, they didn't read it on the slave ship, and they didn't read it before the slave ship. The history says that we weren't Christian. That's the point. Okay. We were made Christian once we came here. But even when we became Christian, we began to read the Bible not in the same way that our white masters read the Bible. When we read the Bible, we saw ourselves in the Bible. We saw a people that were put down and oppressed, and we saw that God came to their aid and he liberated them. We saw the person of Jesus Christ, and we saw someone despised and rejected by his own. And we saw ourselves as a group of people despised and rejected. That's why when we read from the preserved lectures of church leaders and pastors, all the way back to someone like David Walker's appeal to the colored people of the world, all the way down to a Malcolm X. There's this central theme that runs through all of their language. If one way it's expressed is that if God came to the children of Israel, he'll come to us. Or if Jesus Christ were to come back, he would come back to us. This is like a common theme. So whether we were Muslim, that's the Malcolm. Whether we were Christian, that's the David Walker, all through. So I actually researched, I gathered these different quotes, and you have about a 150 year history of black teachers teaching the religion, and they all saw that fact. They read it that way because we all shared the same history. Right. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Now, it's important to understand for African-American Christians to understand our coming into Islam is on the same basis. We just took it a step further. We said, well, wait a minute, we're finding the basis for our liberation and our freedom of thought. We see the seeds of it in the Bible, but the Bible was given to us by the same people that put us in this situation, that put us in this circumstance. Yeah. And there was another set of influences injected among us that introduced us to the religion of Islam. And when we began to read the Quran, and when we began to become familiar with the religion of Al-Islam, we began to see or find answers that we didn't necessarily have in the black church. For example, I always tell this story. My mother, she said, when she was a young girl, I remember my great-grandmother, she had a mural on the wall. It was like wars and famine and all of this, and Jesus is sort of in the middle of suffering on the cross, that suffering white man look. Yeah. And she said as a little girl, she would say to herself, well, he looked like he's suffering like the rest of them. How can he help us? Obviously the mural, the notion behind the mural is that he shares in our suffering, which is true. But something in our nature knows God doesn't suffer. God relieves suffering. There's a little bit more to be said, but I think the point is conveyed. I was talking to someone the other day who converted, and they were saying just how they just couldn't get around this 3 and 1. Yeah. We learned math. If I were to take that in my math class as a kid, I failed. And so there's just this sort of common sense approach that a lot of our people grapple with. And a lot of them say when they heard Islam for the first time, something in them said, this is it. Yeah. Now, what we know is that 20 to 40%, that's the low estimate, 20 to 40% of our people who were brought here from West Africa were Muslim. Yeah. So there's sort of a genetic connection to the religion. So when we hear it for the first, even like blues music, you hear, if you hear people recite the Quran in West Africa, it's like a da 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 da. But that's how the blues man sang, "Oh man, won't let me go." So there's a strong theory in academia now that even the blues music and the cadence and the mode of expression was influenced by these slaves who were carrying over West African Muslim recitation styles or ways. So when we heard Islam, we heard a liberating message. It didn't separate us from Christians now. Not in our minds it didn't. Yeah. It made us want to continue the freedom movement of the Christian population, which we were already on. Now I'm going to wrap this up, but we have to be clear. Islam came to the African American people primarily through the Nation of Islam. Yes. From the standpoint of orthodox, traditional, global Islam, the Nation of Islam is viewed as a sort of a offshoot movement. It's not considered traditional, but that's how it came to us. The majority of us, our parents were in the Nation of Islam, at least. James Cone, who was the author of he was the thinker behind Black liberation theology. He admitted, this is documented on a PBS special called This Far by Faith. He said that he was struggling with racism and Christianity in the church. And he said that most of us, we were hearing Malcolm and we were hearing the Nation of Islam say about the white man in the Bible. He said, deep down, we knew that they were right. He said, so I had to go back to the Bible and develop something that would connect to my people. So he came up with Black liberation theology. Howard Thurman, we're in Atlanta. Howard Thurman was he is considered a mystic, and he is sort of like I would say the father of the educated Black or African American theologians. Like we have, I think ITC is still up and running here in Atlanta, the Interdenominational Theological Seminary. I've done dialogue with them, and Howard Thurman's their man. He's the guy, and he's Dr. King's mentor. He writes in his autobiography that when he went to India, he met Mahatma Gandhi. Now it's interesting. He puts in his autobiography that Mahatma Gandhi asked him, why don't you all consider becoming Muslim? Because in Islam, the race problem that you all have and that you all are encountering with Christian whites in America, you all won't have that if you come into Islam. Now, this is a wise man. This is a mystic. This is a thinker. Wise people don't just talk. They talk with purpose. So that's enough. My belief is, and this is the belief of some of us, he was leaving that as a hint for his students down the road that we may not be ready for it now. Because he said himself when he was a young man, he learned to read. His grandmother couldn't read. So his grandmother would ask him to read the Bible for her, to her. And but when he came upon certain passages, she would say, well, pass by, don't read those. And he said, at that time, you didn't question old folks. You just did what. When he became a young man, he said, well, Grandma, why did you want me to read those passages? And she said that those are the passages of the Bible that the slave masters would have read to us on the plantation. His grandmother was a slave. So I didn't want to go over those, obey your slaves, obey your masters, et cetera, et cetera. So here's a man in his autobiography acknowledging the Bible as an instrument for psychological domination. This is Howard Thurman. And at the same time, in the same autobiography, he's leaving a hint that maybe you all should check out Islam. So to sum it up, I said I was going to sum it up, but you know.
Good. This is good information because I got a lot of people who need this history.
Yeah. So as African Americans, we're one people. We cannot escape that. Yeah. We can try, but we're just fooling ourselves. Yeah. It's like trying to deny our skin color. Right. If we can't deny our skin color, we definitely can't deny our history and the effects of our common shared history. Yeah. That's point number one. Point number two is that history propelled us on the path of Christianity, and it also propelled us on the path of Al-Islam. And in the final analysis, the interest being propelled, what was the interest? To find liberation spiritually, rationally, socially, so that we can truly be a people again. Because as a group, that's essentially what was taken from us, our peoplehood. Yeah. So why should we be at odds with one another? Now, I know I did say I was going to wrap it up, but this is a caveat. People will say, well, I'm not black. In the final analysis, I'm a Muslim before I'm everything. Or I don't care about that. It's all about what the Lord. I believe they're mistaken. They're mistaken. If that's God sorts us out on the day of judgment, according to both books. But while we're here, it's not sensible, and we don't find it in the scriptures, this notion that we separate from our people. Even if we think our people are lost, didn't the prophets come to help their people who were lost? At what point? I think it was Jonah who left his people, who said, I'm not going to deal with these. But what ended up happening to him? He slept on the ship, got thrown overboard, got swallowed by the big fish. This is not literal. Then he finally got spit on the shore. He had to start his mission all over again. So in other words, God doesn't accept that you leave your people. You condemn your people. If you have the light, then the duty of the civilized is to teach the uncivilized. Yeah. The duty of the one in the light is to bring it to those in the darkness. So we should never leave our people. So this conflict that is being in some quarters exacerbated or instigated, it's incorrect, and we should fight against it.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's funny because I always look at it like when I read the Quran, it doesn't tell me to go against the Jew or the Christian.
No.
It says all believers, which includes
right.
And so and even to your point about I know for me, and we wrote about this, about it in the book a little bit, where when I started, after my mom had passed away, I started tracing my roots, if you will. And my parents are from Haiti, and I didn't even realize how when I think about the Haitian Revolution,
Yeah.
Duddy Bookman was a Muslim.
Yeah.
Right. And when I think about there was a prayer, right? So if anybody has ever done the history of the Haitian Revolution, and they call it the Bookman's Prayer. It happened at in Haiti, which I visited. It's called Bois Caïman.
Yeah.
Bois Caïman so Bois means like the woods. Kai means house of who? The Imam.
Yeah.
And I never,
Yeah.
it was just a word that I just was like, oh, Bois Caïman. But then when I realized, I'm like, oh, he was, it was by the Imam's house. But why were they calling him Duddy Bookman?
Yeah.
Was because when they took him from Jamaica, when his slave masters took him from Jamaica, he carried a book.
Yeah.
The book was the Quran.
Yes, sir.
And they didn't like that he always had the book on him. And so his masters took the book and burnt it on him. And then that became his new name, Bookman. Right? And so I started to trace it and just kind of see. And I think that there's so many differences, if you will, or not so many, there's some differences, but I think the main difference is that Christians see that Jesus is God.
Right.
Where we believe that Jesus is a prophet.
Right.
And Jesus isn't God, but even in some of the scripture, Jesus is telling you that he's not God. Like, can you expound on that a little bit?
For sure.
Yeah.
No Christian can point to any verse in the Bible where Jesus says, "I am God."
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just that plain and simple.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like your wife says, "Tell me," your wife says, "How do you know that? How do I know you love me?" You say, "Well, I came home today." Or,
Right.
I paid the bill. No, she wants to say, "I love you."
Right.
It's just direct. You don't have that.
Right.
You have, most of them will point to the book of John, the fourth gospel.
Mm-hmm.
I am the truth, I am the way, I'm the light, those things.
Mm-hmm.
That was not only the last gospel written, but it was written even after the writings of Paul, the epistles of Paul.
Mm-hmm.
And it's considered to be a theological gospel, unlike the others that have more of a historical focus.
Mm-hmm.
So, meaning what? That particular gospel was written after the notion of Jesus Christ being the God and the Son of God was already in vogue among the people, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the one that will be pointed to. So he never claimed outright to be that. Now, this gets a little controversial, and I don't want to offend your audience, but I think that there should be enough of them, especially in this day and age. We're all adults and intellectually mature.
Mm-hmm.
So the audience of the New Testament has to be considered.
Mm-hmm.
The audience of the New Testament is not the Jews. Jesus Christ, his ministry took place among the Jews. But the New Testament, the audience of the New Testament is not the Jew, it's the Gentile. The Gentile, according to the Bible, the biblical lineage is the Europeans. This is very important. Paul becomes the theologian who educates the Gentiles. So when the book of Romans, the Corinthians, these are Gentiles. These are not Jews. The apostles of Jesus, the disciples of Jesus Christ, the brother of Jesus Christ, James, they're differing with Paul. He shapes the perception of the Europeans by way of his theological writings. Why is this important? So, for example, the same book of John, which is written after Paul's writings, it begins with the expression, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God," all the way to the Word becoming flesh and dwelling amongst man. The Greek word is logos. Logos is a concept already existent in Greek philosophy that had migrated or morphed from Greek philosophy, Greek thought into Roman thought. In the Roman Empire at that time, they had the mystery schools. Logos was the notion of the rational principle that exists within and pervades everything in the universe. Logos. So it is what gives the world its rational composition, like the movement, the rising and setting of the sun, the phases of the moon, the change of the seasons, mathematics, etc. That's logos. The mind, this was already a science that was developed by Aristotle and founded by him in that tradition and developed by others, of logic, from the same root word, logic. Logic is the science of how to correctly reason. So there are two principles in Greek thought prior to the coming of Christianity that goes into the Roman world, etc., which is that the world is rationally composed and the human mind is the thing that has the ability, is the entity that has the ability to process rationally. Therefore, the mind of man and the universe are to come together. And in the rational composition of the universe, or through the rational composition of the universe, the rational mind comes to know the one who created the world. In other words, then, the mind of man is created to know the quote-unquote mind of God. This is Greek thought. So when they put that language in the Bible, they're speaking to this audience who already thinks along this pattern. This wasn't written for West Africans or East Africans. East Africa, I guess, if you go to Egypt, Alexandria, places like that, because they were also in that thought tradition. But I'm speaking deeper in East Africa. But in any event, so when Paul is writing, he is giving them language, and the other gospels too, is giving them language that they were already accustomed to, but at the same time is higher than what they had. It's higher than what they had, because the Jewish knowledge is higher than the Greek knowledge. That's why the Jews are still here and the Greeks are long gone. They're preserved by the Jews. So that's the world. I mean, I don't know how to explain it another way. That's the world. So that's what they gave them. They gave them that. And they framed the language of the New Testament to appeal to that audience. And this is predicted in the book of Isaiah, that a light would come to the Gentiles. And you can just read throughout the book. There's this constant emphasis on the Gentiles being brought to the light of Israel. But through who? By way of who? The New Testament is the way in which that's fulfilled. But it's important to understand the New Testament, the focus is Jesus Christ. But the person who is framing the language to provide that focus, like you can look at something, but what lens do you have? Is Paul, who's a Jew himself. He's not a Christian. So did it work? Yes. That's what we call the Western world. The Western world is a product of the children of Israel, their rabbis, bringing the Gentiles to their light. That's why till this day, who does our government serve? Israel. It's the same old. Black man, we just be talking. White, like Malcolm say, white man sneeze, we catch a cold. We just talking. We don't know what's going on.
Right. Let's talk about Islam and money for a second, because I do have some more questions as it relates to Christianity and Islam. More really about like unification and why we should be coming together. But I did want to talk about Islam and money for a second, because I tell you this all the time. I remember during COVID, it was one of your messages that I watched online. That really like drew me to you and your messaging, specifically why I wanted you to talk to our audience about, money and, financial freedom. Islam has a strong teaching on wealth, stewardship, and responsibility. How do you think Muslims should think about money in society where capitalism dominates everything?
We should see, God says in our sacred text, do you not see that God has subjected to you for your use everything in the skies and everything in the earth? And then we are told in our text, God actually says, we put in the book of the Psalms after the Torah, after we revealed the Torah, we also revealed in the book of Psalms that my righteous servants shall inherit the earth. So the whole earth belongs to the righteous. So the Muslim or the believer, the righteous, should never see themselves out of the competition for the world. It's ours. He said inherit it. See, inherit means it belongs to abundance.
This is your birthright. It's on my back.
Let me get that, bro.
So I got you, though. I got a whole suit for you, too. I got you.
It's literally our birthright. This goes back to Adam. Adam was created to cultivate the garden. And one place in the Quran, God says that the garden, its extent is the whole of the heavens and the earth. Most of the people think of the garden, in Islam too. Most people in religion are in mythology. They need to join us in the real world. The garden is in your soul.
Yes.
It's in your home.
Yes.
And it's in everything God created. Cultivate your soul by way of education and developing skills and growing your perception. Cultivate your family life. When you, just like that farmer puts his seed in the ground and plants grow out, or the crop, we put our seed in our wife. And life grows out. But even before, if she's a good woman, you can't even enter into her before you've entered into her spiritually and mentally.
Yeah.
And love grows.
Yeah.
You pour into your children. The garden is a place of beauty and peace. That's what we want our homes to be. Now, how can we have beauty and peace and order and growth in our souls and in our homes, but not in the external environment? It has to be there. So the term used in Quran is Khalifa. Man was created to be Khalifa, meaning a responsible authority over the earth. Now, by virtue of these things that I'm pointing, because all wealth, like economics 101, it all goes back to natural resources. Later on, this should actually be, if I wrote a 101 book, it should be human resources and natural resources, because they say the resources are limited, but human potential is not limited at all. That's why wealth can be created. So because we have human resources in our soul, in our mind that God created, and because we have the resources of the universe that God created, the effective use of those resources, both internally and externally, that's how wealth is generated. And again, I repeat, God created that to be for us more than anyone else. So I think that Muslims and religious people as a whole, not just, I'm saying religious people, should live with the sense that they should be having their share of this earth. And that's not preached enough, actually, in my opinion.
I mean, even in the Bible, right? On earth as it is in heaven.
Come on now.
What does the Quran actually say about building wealth, business, and economic empowerment that most people misunderstand?
That a couple things. First thing is that, as I said, he subjected to you everything in the skies and the earth. But before that, he says, to God belongs everything in the heavens and the earth. We don't own anything. So that is a point of departure. The second thing, this is in the book of Joseph. Yusuf in Islamic tradition, Joseph in biblical tradition. It's in the book of Genesis. It's really, his story concludes the book of Genesis, actually. He becomes the most wealthy man, the most powerful man in the most powerful society in the history of the world before America, which is ancient Egypt. And he was put over the storehouse. And he was put over the storehouse because God had blessed him with vision to know about economic conditions and circumstances that would save or preserve not only that society, but the known world at that time. But what is often missed is that he was blessed by God with that kind of vision because of his moral poise. Because remember, he started off as a slave. And the woman of the house wanted him. She wanted him bad. And he resisted her. Now, you know how the average one of us, we can't resist our coworker at McDonald's. If she's cute enough. I had a cute waitress earlier today, I can resist. I'm not saying that.
No, I got you.
You know how it is. That girl's cute. So let alone you're in the house of a powerful woman who wants you. He resisted her. So much so in Quran, he said, I prefer prison. And then she brought over, in the Quranic narrative, she brought over other women. These are all women of high society. And they all saw how beautiful he was. And they all wanted him. He said, I prefer prison over this. And then he ends up in prison. And the men in the prison knew that he was a special man because of his moral quality. So what is it that brings about the rise and fall of individuals? And what is it that brings about the rise and fall of nations? Morality. Morality. So these are the two basic rules. God owns everything, and God owns us. And a part of our duty to God is to keep our moral poise. It's very easy to have access to wealth, to have access to opportunity through the route of immorality.
Yeah.
Or it's very easy to go the moral route, and once we get to a certain place, lose our moral poise because more corruption is available. I'm sure in your position, you get all types of stuff coming your way. Schemes and scams
everything,
and everything.
Yeah.
And you have to decide.
1000%.
Morality means you're making a choice of what's, so I think those are some rules that those are the central rules.
Yeah. Zakat is, one of the pillars of Islam. Yeah. Beyond the ritual, what is the deeper economic philosophy embedded in it, and how can Muslims today use it to uplift communities?
So that's what Zakat, literally, it comes from a word linguistically meaning to purify.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, when God speaks of the soul, he says, indeed, the one who purifies his soul is successful. And it means zakah. Mm-hmm. But the word for successful means like the farmer who produces growth out of the earth. Mm-hmm. So the principle there is, it carries this notion of, number one, when you give of your wealth, you purify your own self. Mm-hmm. Because wealth is a strong doorway to corruption, because it just has been that way. I think the Bible says money is the root of all evil. Mm-hmm. There's an Islamic tradition that says the love of the world, because money is a means of exchange. This is what the Bible means. Mm-hmm. The love of the world is the root of all evil. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Yeah. What was it? I think that was Dr. Dre. Women, weed, and weather. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Broke people don't got that. Right. You get more of that with money. Right. So it opens those doorways: power, control, authority. So zakat is carrying a principle that you spend of your wealth so as to avoid corruption, to hoard and to hold, to not give in charity. That's what it is. It's obligatory charity. Is a means of corrupting and polluting yourself. But it also is a way of purifying society. When we look at where high crime is, when we look at where more hurt and misery occurs in societies, it's often in areas where they have less access to resources. Yeah. Look at what's happening now with the SNAP benefits. Mm-hmm. People are saying that there was a trend going around. People say, I'm going to break into Walmart and steal me some food, Mm-hmm. To have a sense of food security is a human need. Yeah. So what happens now when there are hundreds of us, thousands of us who don't have food security, who don't have a sense of safety? It increases the likelihood that we begin to steal from one another, harm one another, etc. So to spend our wealth translates into the purification, the moral purification of society, in that we are helping to alleviate burden on people. Yeah. So that's a principle. I mean, again, the Jews have this, the Christians have this, but to spend our wealth, one of the terms used in the Quran actually suggests investing. Mm-hmm. Because if I spend I'm not just spending on a poor child. Right. I'm investing in that child, right. Especially if that wealth goes towards education. If it goes towards food, it's helping them just be properly nourished. Mm-hmm. But if I spend on their education, their clothing, their housing, it is actually helping them become a better human overall, that in turn becomes a more productive element of the society. So again, just like the tree bears fruit, and that fruit invests back into the environment. It goes into the soil, and it nurtures the soil from which the tree grows in the first place. Mm-hmm. Spending our wealth does the same thing. Yeah.
Many Muslims believe wealth is dangerous or spiritually compromising. Is that an accurate reading, or is that a cultural interpretation?
Yeah, I don't know what they. You may have to edit this part out. What in the? Oh, no, it's not. I mean, poverty is spiritually dangerous too.
For sure. Yeah.
So there's a theory that nothing. I don't believe that. I don't accept this completely, but I'm going to use it to make this point. Nothing in and of itself, at least naturally, in its natural expression, can be deemed good or evil.
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah.
What makes it is our use of it.
Yeah.
Our orientation of it and our use of it.
I agree.
So that can be anything.
Yeah.
So the inordinate love of wealth, the imbalanced love of wealth, is a problem, just like imbalanced poverty is a problem.
Right.
So the religious people historically have demonized wealth and wealth acquisition. But interestingly enough, it has also been religious people who were wealthy who advanced that idea. So when you look in the history of the world and you find these traditions where wealth in the world, things of the world are looked down upon, the ones who are keeping the people in check by way of those teachings, they lived well.
They live well. Yeah.
They lived good.
Yeah.
So
was that a setup? Because
Sure.
the truth of the matter, and funny enough, like even when I think about the educational system, right? It almost feel like systems are built to keep people in check. Because when you think about the educational system, if you really peel the layers back, it was the Rockefellers who really started that to train people to work for them.
Correct.
Right? So that's why when people be like, oh, why they don't teach wealth in the schools, is because schools weren't meant for you to be wealthy. It was meant for you to be a worker. To work for the wealthy.
Correct. Yeah, that's it. So we live, I mean, a lot of these movies, Hollywood plays on these themes.
Yeah.
So The Matrix is one. He lives in a simulated reality, and all human beings do. And there's essentially batteries charging the system.
Yeah.
The keepers of the system. The Truman Show, True Man. This is the real show of man. He's living in a simulation,
right.
and everything is just. So that's what we live in.
Yeah.
That's our situation. So no, religious education, as we have it in the world today, and we've had it for some time, let alone secular education, it is designed to keep the majority of us out of the hair of the bosses.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. Yeah. What does the Prophet Muhammad, peace be unto him, what does his life teach us about entrepreneurship, commerce, and circulating wealth?
So he was a businessman before he became prophet.
Yeah.
And his wife, her name was Khadija. She had inherited wealth from her husband, wealthy woman. But in that day, they would go through these trade routes. You go to the major town, you would do commerce. And she had men who would take goods and trade on her behalf. And when her way of meeting the prophet, they say, oh, he worked for her. That's not really true. He was more like he was contracted out to sell. And he was very honest and just. It goes back to that morality piece.
Yeah. He
was honest and just, and he did very well in the marketplace. So she basically made him her exclusive contractor. Because, back then, she had wealth, but women, you know how men treat women. Even today in the business place, a lot of men beat her out of money, and he didn't. And he increased her wealth. So that was his way prior to revelation. After the revelation comes, and he does his work as the prophet, he still is engaged in business, but not as much. But what's interesting about the Muslims, they make a migration from Mecca to Medina. And one of the first things that is done in Medina alongside the establishment of a masjid, just a place of worship, is an independent marketplace for the Muslims. And we have these beautiful stories where, for example, a man comes to him begging. And he says, well, do you have anything of value? He said, yeah, he has a shirt. He brings a shirt. The prophet takes that shirt to the market and says, does anyone have something to trade for this shirt?
Yeah.
He traded for an axe. And he gave the man the axe and told him, go to the woods, go chop some wood and come back and sell firewood. So he transformed the man from a beggar into a business person.
Yeah.
So this is our way.
Yeah.
This is our way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And no, it's funny. I mean, it's not funny. Let me run it back. But I don't know if you saw. Did you see the viral clip that went around? There was this lady that was calling mega churches.
Yeah, for sure.
And asking them. Had a crying baby.
Yeah.
And was asking, saying, my baby can't eat.
Right.
And the people who answered the phone were like, well, are you a member of the church?
Right.
Who are you? Right. But she did get food.
Right.
Because she called the Bastion. Bastion was like, all right, like, can you get here? Like,
come
no
through.
Questions asked. All right. You know.
That's right.
I found that, interesting. And so you mentioned earlier about, the Nation of Islam and the Black experience. Islam has historically been a force for identity, discipline, and transformation in Black America. where do you see the role of Islam today for our community?
There's somewhat of there's some challenges. During the time of the Nation of Islam, there was a clear-cut direction for us.
Mhm.
I think what you just mentioned.
Yeah.
We had schools, a separate school system. We even had a separate diet. Eat this way. And it wasn't something that we did as members of the Nation of Islam. It was a diet that we promoted to our people. Lay off the pork, stop eating 10 times a day, lay off the starches, vegetables, fish, things they say today.
Yeah.
Eat once a day, what they call OMAD now, so I even know people who never joined the Nation of Islam from that time, old timers. They say when I followed the diet, because it was in the newspaper, and that was the best time. I was in the best health of my life. Wow. Yeah. So in a lot of ways, and again, even what I mentioned about James Cone, a lot of the preaching, the presentation of black manhood, clean and decent black womanhood. The Nation of Islam was successful in projecting that image and making accomplishments in our communities, and that was psychologically healthy for our people to see that. James Brown said that he even made the song "Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud" because of Elijah Muhammad. Oh, wow. He said he was inspired by Elijah Muhammad because remember, from our grandparents, depending upon if you have like a lot of Gen X and millennials who watch, they'll tell you, they can ask their grandparents, if you called another black person black, that was an insult. That was even something when I was a kid. You so black, so it was a thing to not be want to call black. So James Brown coming out with an anthem of sorts, "Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud." Now we don't even want to be called African American. Like, I'm black, brother. I'm black. But that was a psychological shift that came about because of the Nation of Islam. Now, in comes the transition into Orthodox Islam. And there were problems in the Nation of Islam for sure, but there are also a set of problems that come with the influx of Orthodox. When I say Orthodox, what I really mean, Islam coming into America from parts of Africa and the Middle East is problematic. It has been problematic because, number one, the teachers, the language coming, when I say language, I'm speaking about just what's being articulated, the points of emphasis, the matters of importance, the agenda that's being communicated from the other part of the Islamic world they're not necessarily relevant to us, to what our needs are. Many of our brothers had gone overseas to study Islam traditionally, and they come back to their own people. It's a phenomenon that I equate to the miseducation of the Negro. Dr. Carter G. Woodson, he saw this same problem with African Americans who would go into higher levels of education, the humanities, etc., philosophy, art, science, and they come back, but essentially they're learning European art, European philosophy, European history, and they come into black people now trying to liberate them. It's a failed project. So Dr. Carter G. Woodson is saying your education has really regressed you in your ability to reach your people. That has happened in a lot of ways to significant portions of the African American community. They're not, because of their education, they are listening to a set of ideals and interests and points of focus that may be important for one side of the earth, but they're not important over here. But they don't see it as not important. They see it as the religion, meaning like, I'm going to go to heaven or hell if I don't. So what we have right now is a struggle. I don't represent that strand. I represent the strand that from the Nation of Islam under the leadership of transition under the leadership of Imam Muhammad. And Imam Muhammad kept the same points of emphasis of his father, and he got rid of the elements that didn't agree with the Quran and the teachings of the Prophet. Like, for example, the black man is God. The white man is the devil. These are like the basic teachings. We got rid of that. But the need to educate ourselves, economic independence, etc. We hold on the need to strengthen our families. And not only do we hold on to those, we find a sound basis for them in our religion, in Islam. So what's really needed, in my view, this is one of the things that I'm working on right now. We really need to craft an authentic, indigenous American, quote unquote, theology. Philosophy is a better word, but theology is the word more people are more familiar with. Where, in other words, an articulation of the religion from the source, from the scripture, but addresses like the report I just gave of the man begging, and he was given an axe. The prophet said the hand on the bottom, the hand on the top is superior to the hand on the bottom, meaning the one that's giving is superior to the one that's asking. He said, no one from the sons of Adam eats a meal that he's more pleased with than the one that he earned from the work of his own hands. That's more relevant in our communities because we're a poorer community as a whole. A lot of what you deal with and a lot of people that you interview deal with, I'm putting my language on it, but it deals with mindset and perception. And again, abundance is your birthright. This is an expression that's it reaches mindset.
For sure.
So we need to teach, going back to that verse, we need to teach our people that the heavens and the earth, the universe was created for them, and they were created for the universe. That has a more powerful impact for our psyche in light of what our needs are. So I think that if we could, as we return to that type of focus, al-Islam will have a more potent effect in terms of our performance. And I think that's important. If we don't have that, if we allow for, I was just actually I literally was having this conversation on the way here. You read some of these books and you say, well, I can live like this if I stayed in the desert.
Right.
But I don't stay in no desert. I'm in Atlanta.
Yeah.
If this lifestyle in Atlanta is called a bum, I'm sorry, what do you call it nowadays? I know this is a time of gentleness. You don't say bums. What do you say now?
Oh, I don't know.
Unhoused or something.
Oh, yeah, unhoused, right? Yeah.
Homeless.
Yeah.
If I live like this today in D.C., Chicago, I'm going to be a homeless person.
Right.
Making prayers and doing vikrs.
Yeah.
So this can't serve me. So we have to be real. And I think there's a fear. And I think that this is controversial too. I think a lot of African-American men, because they're the teachers primarily. It's not a lot of women. Women, no disrespect, but women tend to just follow. How many of us go with my wife like, babe, I got $1 million. Let's go to Cancun. She's like, no, I want to go, I don't know, scoop rice. Most times she was okay. Like women will just go with you. So in the masjid setting, it's the man that's teaching. So when the man wears a long thobe, and when the man has an orange beard, or when the man looks Arab, but he blacker than black and mild, but he's Arab,
right?
And he is speaking with an Arabic. The Prophet says, Negro, you black.
You black, right.
We from Harlem.
Right.
We know you, man.
Yeah.
Why you talking like
right.
What does that do?
Yeah.
You because you the leader. We listening to you, so you are imparting an idea that this is the way.
Yeah.
So what you have is a black body and a Arab head.
Yeah.
Or a black body and a Pakistani head.
Yeah.
Now with all the problems we got, you compounding the problem.
Right.
So what am I really saying? A lot of the men struggle with identity because of that lack of father thing.
Yeah.
Because of growing up in blighted circumstances. Now you take somebody like that and you dump him in Morocco.
Yeah.
You dump him in Syria or Yemen or Egypt.
Yeah, for sure.
And now he's coming into his manhood and his sense of self in an environment that's not his own.
Yeah.
So he's not coming back with just subjects.
Yeah.
Just like Franz Fanon said, the blacks from Martinique would study at French universities. They come back rolling their R harder than the Frenchman.
Right.
So this is clear to be a problem with the black psyche.
Sure.
We hate, this is the Nation of Islam. Right. We hate ourselves.
Right.
We don't see it that way, but we have a poor sense of self. And this is not to critique, but this is to analyze.
Yeah.
Like if I'm a doctor, I have to look at what your problem is, you know?
No, but I mean, to the point that was my biggest, I mean, we talked about this privately, and when we were putting the book together, that was one of my biggest issues when I took my shahada, because like you said, I'm from Harlem.
Come on, man.
And so if I'm trying to say my salams and all my brothers sound Arabic, so now I'm trying to, I feel intimidated as a new Muslim.
Yeah.
Trying to connect with my community, with my brothers,
Right.
but because they're adopting a different culture. So it's
Correct.
So and that's what I had to realize, that there's religion and there's the culture.
Sure.
And yes, if you're adopting the religion, you got to still keep your culture, though.
You gotta keep your culture.
Yeah.
I don't want no baklava or biryani. Give me some yams, man.
Right.
I want mama's yams.
Right.
I want black women.
Right.
I want a sister.
Right.
You know what I mean? They got that little, they do that stuff. I like that.
Right. You were a student of Imam W.D. Muhammad, right? What's the biggest lesson he taught you about Islam's role in solving the problems of black people?
The biggest? Well, I don't know. This is very general. I think that what he showed was that Islam addresses all of our needs.
Yeah.
Starting with God. Who is God? Who is man?
Yeah.
What's his place in the universe? What's our purpose on the earth? So he sort of systematically was able to articulate from the Quran an understanding that shows us, or that answered these questions. For example, I'll go back to the Christianity piece. This is an old clip that went around from him. He said, there's a psychology that men who misuse women, like pimps, they have this psychology. They act like they don't care about the woman. And they do it just enough to create this desire in the woman. Like, why doesn't he love me? Why doesn't he care about me? So she does things to please him, and he treats her in such a way to hold on to her. But at the same time, he doesn't never latch on to her to make her comfortable.
Yep.
He says, well, really, that's what the white man did to us all of these years. The white man, you notice, he never let us go. Every time we want to go off on our own and build a Tulsa, he want to take it back. Yeah. But he'd act like he don't like us. Right. He doesn't want us to have our own. So over the generations, we developed this psychology of how come he don't love us. This started back in slavery. Yeah. He said, now you get that psychology over the years. He said, in the only place where we ever saw a white man that love us, you open the church doors and there's a white Jesus, come unto me. Yeah. I here to embrace all of you. So now the black man, he go overboard in his love for Jesus. He loved Jesus more than the white man does. Yeah. You see, so it's a psychology. Yeah. And those types of subtleties in how we have been influenced in our behavior. Yeah. Haven't been analyzed. I haven't heard of any thinker analyze our condition more effectively or thoroughly than him or those others like Dr. Naim Akbar, Malcolm, all of those who came from the nation experience. Yeah. Even Minister Farrakhan. These have been the most effective men in the history of our people in being able to analyze our condition psychologically and socially. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I would say. So it's a total analysis that he gave. Yeah.
And so staying with Islam and Christianity for a second, Christianity and Islam are often portrayed as opposing religions, yet they share prophets, values, moral teachings. Where is the true intersection between Islam and Christianity?
I think you get our beliefs, our ethics and morals, even our vision to a great degree of the world, the future of the world. Yeah. Our main difference, this is what we have to understand too. Our difference with Christian teaching is primarily most importantly is rooted in the Trinitarian doctrine and the idea of the divinity of Jesus Christ. Yeah. That's the main issue. Yeah. But it's important to understand what I'm about to say. That issue of the Trinitarian doctrine, the divinity of Jesus Christ, connected to that is also the original sin idea. These are not notions developed by the common Christian walking down the street. They're not clearly articulated in the Bible either. Saint Augustine is the one who developed original sin. He develops that idea. This is a theology. The Trinitarian doctrine is an idea that was developed by theologians over generations. It took them hundreds of years to settle upon something. This is not authentic, pure biblical teaching.
Oh, wow.
This is what, so the average Christian, they're just getting what they get in the church. Like the average Muslim, the average Hindu, you just grow, if you grew up in Georgia, more than likely you're going to be if you grew up in Uzbekistan, more than likely you're going to be something else.
Yeah.
Most people are just products of their circumstance.
Right.
The question becomes, where did these ideas come from?
Right.
And these ideas came from men, learned men, who developed them for a particular end or a particular outcome. So these are doctrines. They will say, well, this passage in the Bible is this, or this passage in the Quran is that. But what they're really saying is that this is the basis that I use to develop this system that I develop. It's an interpretation. That's my point.
Right.
So yes, that's the main issue there.
And so what theological misunderstandings keep Muslim and Christians divided, and how can we correct them?
That the Muslim is arguing with, you see this online. You have a Muslim, he may have went to school for 4 years, 10 years, and he's arguing with Christians on the street.
Right.
Your Bible says this. That they don't know.
Right.
If a Christian were to go to the Muslim world, it'd be the same thing. They don't know either.
Right.
So everybody's blind.
Yeah.
So when you sit down at the big business table, the leaders of Saudi Arabia and Israel and the United States are all together.
Yeah.
But we down here fighting.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So we have to understand that the Quran, from a Muslim perspective, the Quran is not taking issue with Jews and Christians.
Correct.
The Quran is taking issue with leaders of the church and leaders of the synagogue. You all have framed ideas to introduce to the public, to shape and form the public in a particular way for your particular interests. So it's not fair for me, as someone who studies religion, to approach a common man, a common Christian, and beat up on them with these ideas. They don't know. They're innocent. My grandma and them, they're innocent. Right. They don't know nothing. These are uneducated people in large part. You see? So that's the biggest, that's a problem. It's come from a very serious misconception.
Yeah. Do you believe that, Islam and Christianity can work together to uplift underserved communities economically and spiritually?
Yeah. Muslims forget that the first place where Islam was allowed to be practiced fully was in Ethiopia under a Christian ruler. This is before the Arabs were, because they were being oppressed by their own people. The Prophet sent his early followers, a group of them, to Ethiopia to live and practice Islam under an Ethiopian king.
Oh, wow.
And that tradition of what they call nowadays interfaith harmony existed down through generations. So this is particularly important in a place like the United States of America. We have non-Muslim neighbors. We live together. We share this space. So there's a such thing as the common good. And there's a common interest coming from the common good that we should have as our focus more than any other thing.
I agree.
So let's go back to the SNAP benefit, like that, the SNAP or that video that you mentioned, that lady calling around. Look, no one can disagree that babies need to be fed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can we start there? Can we just start feeding babies before we start talking about complex theology?
Right.
That you see what I'm saying? So I think that we should. I think that the short answer is yes, and I think that the point of departure with that short yes is on common. We want safe communities. We want our families to be safe. We want our children to be educated. So on those basic things.
Yeah. If Malcolm and Martin represented two wings of the same bird, what does the next generation of unified leadership look like?
Building. I think that the God is in control in our view, but I think that there is a tragedy of sorts when it comes to our great leaders. Our great leaders point us in a direction. This is African American people. We forget our leaders. We forget them a week later, and we preserve them as a slogan. those men, Dr. King was not fighting for integration or desegregation, I should say. He wasn't fighting for desegregation, or that movement wasn't having as its focus the right to spend all our money at a white establishment.
Right.
What's that all about?
Right.
It was the right to have access to the resources of this country so that we could realize ourselves as a people. So we are still, with Malcolm, with Martin, with all of these great leaders and movements, we are still an economically weak people. What do if I ask you or your team or anyone here, what is the contribution of the African American people to the fabric of America in terms of its economy? If we say, the average person will say, they would say something along the lines of entertainment. Now that's a problem. Basketball, rap. We don't even own that. You think we don't even own? We have the LeBron Jameses of the world, but we don't even own that. We may have a stake in it.
Right.
I get a cut off this shoe, but we don't own the NBA. But the ones that own it can't shoot a shot.
Yeah, facts. Yeah.
The one that owns Spotify and all of that, they can't make a song that we dance to.
Yeah.
So we don't even own our output as a people. But in terms of that's entertainment. But in terms of the world of tech, who gets most of the degrees in tech? Who gets most of the medical degrees? Our women get their nails done. Lauryn Hill said, what you say, hair weave by Europeans, nails by Koreans, something like that.
Yeah.
We don't even own those industries.
Yeah.
So there's something still missing in our sense of self-determination.
Yeah.
And we have brothers like yourself and others who are working to promote that. But it's a hard job.
Yeah.
It's a hard job.
Yeah.
Because just like Jonah went to sleep in the bottom of that ship, many of us, we go to sleep on America. America is very comfortable.
Yeah.
I can look at this couch is nice. You see what I'm saying? You can flip on TikTok. I can get me some Grubhub.
Yeah.
I can even order sex nowadays. I ain't got to do the work of getting me no girlfriend.
Yeah.
And they making these robot women. I saw one the other day. I said,
His
sister's got a challenge on their hand. Imagine a brother get to order him a white girlfriend. Good God Almighty. I know you had Dr. Omar. He ain't going to like that.
when he said black queens forever.
Nobody's never.
Never.
Like that Cat Williams said, when them robot women get them, there's going to be. So that will put your soul to sleep.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is that will put our energy to sleep,
to
go out and produce and to work. So it's an uphill climb to the bottom.
Yeah.
Many of our people, I found this out from persons who are involved in this work. Many of our people, they don't really even have the buy black spirit until a police officer kills us or Trump becomes president. Whereas for other people, it's not a movement, it's just the way of life.
The way it is, yeah.
So we were still, that's what I'm thinking.
How do we get like the Jews though, right? And what I mean by that is like, and I asked Dr. Umar something similar where, like, like I said, abundance is your birthright. Like the Quran says this, like it says that, we inherit, right, what's above and below. And you can tell in the way Jewish people move, they believe that wealth and everything is like inherited, like they have a right to it.
For sure.
How do we as Muslims, even black people, adopt that? Because like even again in Christianity, like the Bible says, give us this day, right? On earth as it is in heaven, right? So even the Bible is saying that like we want, don't wait till you get to heaven to live in abundance.
Bring it down here.
You're supposed to be living in abundance on earth as well. How do we get there?
Well, going back to that Lord's Prayer, give us this day our daily bread.
Yeah.
Ask the Christian what the daily bread is. Now, mind you, the same book of John, where the word came down and became flesh. Remember in the Last Supper, what does he do? He said, eat my flesh. He takes a piece of bread. He said, this is my flesh. So the Christians, so what's their daily bread? They understand. The wise in Christianity, you can ask the preacher if he went to school. They believe it's the teachings of Jesus Christ. This is why the words of Christ, see, he says, eat my flesh and drink my blood. what do the words of Christ come in the Bible? Is it blue or is it red? Because they know that his teachings are his blood. So why am I saying that? Because Jesus Christ, remember what I said earlier about it was designed for the Gentile audience. The Gentile audience dealt with blood and flesh. But the principle, though, came from the Jews. The Jews are perhaps the most powerful group of people on earth today. And they're a small group.
Right, I was going to say, because they're relatively small.
But their power comes from the fact that their knowledge is scripture knowledge. It's not secular knowledge.
Yeah.
It's not capitalism. It's not communism. It is not the quantum mechanics or the theory of evolution. As a matter of fact, they are the architects of these ideas more often than not. And this is why they're very strong in academia. They produce these ideas, but when you read from the works of their own rabbis, they say, oh, that particular idea came from this teaching in Jewish tradition. And that idea came from this teaching. They're behind Hollywood. They're very influential.
Yeah.
So what am I saying? The most powerful, most influential people, at least in the Western world, are a people who stand upon a knowledge body that was given to them by God. We, Black Christians, we go to church, we read the Bible, but we don't stand upon biblical knowledge. We stand upon what we got from school. We stand upon the value system that comes from secular society. White man sneeze, we catch a cold. Who told us to dress like this? Who told us to wear our hair like this? Who told our women to perm their hair? Where we get that from? So we don't stand. Who told our men to do whatever it is what we do? So we get our values, we get our approach to reality from the culture, from society, though we go to the church. So biblical knowledge and the strategies of the Bible, of the New Testament, don't inform us as Christians. The same is true for Muslims. We come to the masjid, we make the prayer, we read the Quran, we feel holy, but Quran-based knowledge and strategies and ways of being don't form us from the inside out. So really, we're Black Muslim, we're American Muslim, we're Black Christian. The Jew's a Jew. He's Jew from the inside out. So they're ahead. So that's all we have to do. But the problem that we have when we get together, we want to compete. This is a challenge that we have. I'm not saying it's a problem. We want to decide whose knowledge is more superior. Should we be, should I be from the conscious community? Should I be Hebrew Israelite?
Right.
Should I be Christian? Should I be Muslim? Yeah. So we got that hump to get over too.
Is that oh man, that becomes the conundrum, because as I think about it, I'm like, to your point, I'm like, man, like, could we just only, instead of focusing on who's smarter, who's right, who's wrong, could we just focus on the common, what's needed? Right? Like, could we just serve our brothers and sisters?
Ideally, yes. Like ideally,
Yeah.
Could Trump be the best thing that happened since George Washington? Ideally. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not saying Trump is bad. I'm just saying I'm using the stereotypical.
For sure.
Practically, probably not.
Yeah.
The church, the masjid, the Hebrew Israel, I don't know what they call their places, the Hebrew temple, it's ran by men.
Yeah.
And men, we function upon ego. Ego is not a bad thing. But when it's a ego problem, why ego is too big, then that's going to be a problem. The conscious community, the most influential people are the men. And men want to be, this is not a knock again. I'm a man. I don't think this is a problem, but we want to be chiefs of the territory. So a part of it is a fear. A part of the problem with the rise of Islam, like last year for the Eid prayer here in Atlanta, last year, the year before last, we had about 4,000 to 6,000 people. This year we had 10,000. So our numbers are increasing. We have 300,000 Muslims in Philly. We have another 20 some odd thousand in Jersey. So Islam has been and remains the fastest growing religion in Black America. Now that translates into some very real things.
Yeah.
If I don't want to pick on the church. Let's just say I'm some other kind of guy. I'm some other leader. Not pick on, but I don't want to single them out so as to present the assumption that I'm picking on them. If I'm the leader of a temple, I'm losing members.
Right.
And because I'm losing members, I'm losing money.
Yeah. I see that.
It boils down to economics.
Yeah, I see that.
And I'm losing money. So we have seen that.
Yeah.
And it's known that the Black Muslims have still remained in the forefront of promoting certain agendas that the whole Black community needs to be involved with, and they won't. So I'll give another controversial example. Okay, so I don't know. I'm just talking brother to brother. I don't know what you're going to cut. We have here.
Oh, no, I'm not cutting anything.
Okay,
What
good.
you say is what you say.
We have in this city a pastor who is leading the charge to boycott Target. But we also have businesses in this city that are Black owned that produce the same products, at least the essentials, that Target produces. Why not at the same time, while boycotting them, say, give your money to these?
And I'm going to ask him, though, too, because I'm interviewing him, too.
Good.
Yeah.
Have me here when you know the sponsor. And the reason why is because it's Black Muslims. Tell the whole story.
Wow.
It's Black Muslims that own laundry detergent, toothbrush, toothpaste, toilet tissue. That everybody got to brush their teeth.
Yeah.
Everybody got to wash their clothes.
Yeah.
And so don't tell me how much money we've caused Target to lose only. The brother that was just here before me, he said something. I've been traveling, so he said something that I thought was. He said, I'm paraphrasing him, but he was saying that when people are looking at the cost of this, like this $10,000 for the course, they don't look at the value that they're gaining.
The gain, yep.
So though it's $10,000 up front, it may get me $1 million on the other hand.
Yep.
So that's looking at the glass incorrectly.
Yeah.
So it's one thing to say, oh, we bus boycotted, so the buses lost money.
Right.
But where did that money go to?
Right.
It's two sides to it.
Right.
So we can help them because what that tells me is this. If they say, we're sorry, Black people, we'll now put your products in this section. That's like patting my child on the head. Okay, you was crying, here's mama some breast milk. But wait a minute, we still don't have dignity.
Right.
We didn't have dignity before collectively. Right. This is an opportunity to now say, look, let's funnel our dollars into our companies, into our stores, into our and we tell our own people, hey, Ash Cash, you sell watches. We're going to put all our money behind you. We're not going to buy Target watches or Walmart watches, but you got to hire us and you got to cut a check to the Black school.
Yeah.
This is simple stuff.
Right.
And the fact that there is some efficacy, meaning that there's been some outcome with these boycotts, that shows that the church still has power of influence.
Absolutely.
So we're not using the influence in a way that's practical and sensible. And a lot of it is based upon ego.
Yeah.
Because that particular pastor, he came to the We Buy Black conference. He knows. I'm sure he was at the other conference. What's the other one with the money people?
Investors?
Yeah, I'm sure. If he not, he know about it. It's in his city. I knew about it. I live here. You know what I mean? I know them guys know more than I do about what goes on. Yeah. So this is we have to get down to the practical, real stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't even like weave. I don't want to get in trouble again. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But look, if we gonna sell weave, let us sell it.
Right.
I'm saying that's what they should say. I'm not gonna sell them.
So as we wrap up, now we gotta wrap up. No, just joking. As we wrap up, so I did want to touch on the book real quick, right? Because I know, I mean, similar, like in the book we talk about the emotional shift, because you mentioned earlier, a lot of black people are reverting or converting into Islam, right? And we talk about the emotional shift that happens like after taking your shahada. What do new Muslims need to understand spiritually about this moment beyond the words?
Yeah, it's a challenge. You know, it's a challenge for many of them. Not all of them. Sometimes the family, I find this a lot with the males. The males, especially if they were going in a wrong direction. Yeah. The family is usually pleased that something has been able to get this boy straight. Yeah. With the women, it's a little different.
Yeah.
You know, some of the biggest converts in the West are Caucasian women. And the with the women, it's like, oh, they're going to change you. You're going to have to wear long skirts and sit in the back of the bus or the back of the camel or something like that. So they have to. In a lot of families, I'm witnessing this currently. A lot of families ostracize them. And that's very rough. So I think that it's twofold. The people who convert to Islam have to be intentional about finding a community. And I think that the masjid communities have to be very intentional about embracing now that's one thing that the black church traditionally, I don't know how it is now, but traditionally the black church had. I heard this from the old timers. They say when someone would stand up and bear witness, the pastor right away would say, okay, what are you good at? Where you want to get involved? They plug them right in. That's necessary. So the converts, the people who convert to Islam, that's another challenge is the internet. You get a little bit of everything on the internet. And most of the teachers of Islam that are on the internet are coming from only one frame, one school of thought, so to speak.
I agree.
And it's a very linear, black or white frame. So I suggest to be very cautious about listening to online preachers that don't look like you, that are not from your background, that are not American even. Stay away from it, really, until you're able to get a grounding. Find a masjid that wherever you took your shahada at, wherever you were comfortable, or find a group if you took a shahada amongst a group and stick with them, and go to my channel.
For sure. You know, many new Muslims are overwhelmed after embracing Islam. What is the first thing they should focus on in their first week, their first month, and even their first year?
Education is the number one priority. I think most of them want to know how to pray because it's a when you pray, it's very direct. They don't really care about theology as much. They want to, when you're praying, it's like I'm doing it. I'm in the act of being Muslim. But I do suggest that they take a little time to learn the beliefs. Because logically speaking, we want a proper understanding of who God is before we pray to him. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be one either or. They can progress simultaneously. But I think that the learning, the conscious learning of the beliefs, and then learning the practices of prayer are important. Now, I'm saying this because, for example, the Muslims have this wrong. The first thing we want to do with a sister is put a scarf on her head. Now, she just was shooting everybody and shooting people Friday. Sunday, she took you out of here, sister put on a scarf. No, stop shooting people. Let's start there. So we got this thing wrong. We have to learn how to deal. And I tell this to the people who come to me. You're a human. You're a servant of God first. Let's deal internally and then work externally. So that's, and take it slow. Take it slow. The prophet actually said this. He said, no one, they don't delve deeply into the religion except that it'll overwhelm them. Most people, it'll overwhelm you. So do the little that you can manage. You don't have to say your prayers in Arabic some people will tell you that. Those are people who are insensitive. Say it in the language that you know first. You just took Shahada 10 minutes ago. So now you're about to be praying in pure Arabic. And then if you are, you don't know what you're saying. What sense does that make? So make your prayers in English. Learn what you can. Begin to learn the Quranic Arabic. Technically, it's not Arabic. It's not the Arabic on the street. It's a very particular language that you find in the religion only. So and understand that it's a life, because it is life. Like you said, religion is life. It's a way of life. Life is through stages. There's growth. There's whatever. Same thing in your religion. Take your time. Go slow. Be willing to evolve and know that God brought you here and God is with you. He won't bring you. It's not like our mamas used to drop us off at the daycare. You won't see him the next week. It's God brought you here and he's going to stay the whole time. So that's important.
I love it. Any last words, anything you want to leave our audience with?
Well, we covered a lot.
We did.
We were kind of like in different realms of the firmament. But no, I thank you. I appreciate you for bringing me on.
No.
This has been a long time coming.
No, for sure, for sure,
yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
And you know, even as we were putting the book together, and make sure I put a link so y'all could get Islam for new Muslims, everything you need to know after you take your shahada, a guide for new Muslims, reverts, and anyone seeking clarity on faith, prayer, community, identity, and living Islam in the modern world. And I also would say, and this is for anybody who's watching this to this point, is the book isn't only for if you take your shahada, right?
Sure.
It's also for I would honestly encourage our Christian brothers and sisters also to pick it up.
Yeah.
To just understand, right? Just for a level of understanding, because I know for me, again, growing up Christian, and trying to, like, after you take your shahada, you almost feel isolated. And again, I share this with you. It's like, if you feel isolated because I can't share the news with my Christian family, right? Like my actual family, and trying to, or even in my new Muslim family, or if I go to the masjid, I still feel a little isolated because, there are, Muslims who've been Muslim all their lives or whatever the case may be. And so, now I feel intimidated because I may not know how to, recite certain things, or I might not get invited to certain things or whatever the case may be. So now I'm sort of like, I feel like in isolation. But I also, so I think it's something that everybody should pick up and learn. And, as we discuss, I agree with you. I think it's important for us to start, putting out, more information that could connect with us, especially Black Americans, who have the Black experience, who have gone through this. So